Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Russell. I'm the Associate Dean International at the University of Dundee in the School of Business. We're going to just chat very briefly today with Professor Nick Hopkins, who knows about Jainti Saggar. I might not have pronounced that quite right.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay, good. I'm Australian, so I use that as my excuse for being rubbish with being able to pronounce names. People have pointed out it's most likely just me otherwise. Anyway, listen, we've been asked questions about Sagar Street here in Dundee, and I thought it was best to come to you because you've been closely involved with the scholarship for Jainti Saggar. So can you just first tell us a little bit about you and how you're involved in this, arranging this scholarship?
Okay, well, thanks very much. So I'm a psychologist and I've been in Dundee many, many years. And typically I've been doing teaching and I've been doing research. And then over the last few years, I've been involved in international recruitment. And so through that, I thought I'd find out a little bit more about the university's connections across the globe. And I've got a particular interest in India and South Asia. So I did a little bit of research trying to find out about our history with South Asia, in particular with India. What were the first connections? And I was amazed to find that way back in 1919, a young man came from Punjab all the way by sea, a 26-day sea journey. You know, nowadays we just jump on a plane and 12 hours later we're there. 26 days by sea, plus of course the travel through India, plus of course the travel throughout the UK. He arrives here in Dundee and starts to study in 1920. So one of our very early international students from India.
Okay, and so he does medicine and he graduates and then ends up being a doctor here in Dundee. And I think in the 1920s, he was the only Indian doctor in Dundee.
That's right. That's right. He graduated in 1923. He started a practice in Byron Street. He continued to study, so he did a whole series of diplomas throughout the late 20s, early 30s, and he was a very well-known, very highly respected local GP.
And then in the 1930s, was it 1936, he gets elected as a Labour Party councillor to the Dundee City Council?
That's right. I think whilst he was a GP, he was very, very aware of the issues around poverty in the city, very, very concerned about education, very concerned about access to quality healthcare. I think Dundee at that period was a time of enormous social inequality. So he became very active. In a sense, you know, that early stage of medicine starting to look beyond simply how do people present with conditions to try to think about the social conditions that give rise to health and ill health, and recognizing that there was a need for intervention to actually improve the conditions that people were living in. So he became a councillor in 1936 and he held that seat until 1954 when he died.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think he also, the other thing that he was a great supporter of was women's roles in the community. I think he supported a very early woman onto the council as well, and had a major role to play in enhancing women's role in society.
I think he's a remarkable character. He certainly is progressive in all sorts of ways, and he really does have that sense of drive, and he just made things happen. And so when he died, the Lord Provost spoke about, you know, this is somebody who came all the way from across the globe and who cared deeply about the city. And then later they named a street after him. So you mentioned at the outset, Sagar.
That's right.
It's named after him to commemorate the contribution he made to the city. And he went back to India once after coming here. He went back with his wife. He married a local woman, and she was also an impressive young woman. She went with him to India, again by sea, for their honeymoon. That would have been an adventure in the 1930s to undertake that journey. She came back, and she also was politically active, and at some stage they were both on the city council together for a short period.
Oh, right.
Local councillors, and she was an impressive woman in her own right. So I think they were quite a dynamic couple.
Mm. I think also the story about Sagar is that he is what a true academic does. He does what a true academic does, which is that he doesn't take what is already in front of him and what has been going on for the last 20, 30, 100 years and take that as a given. He's dismantling the whole process and deciding, what does equality mean? Equality means women's roles. What does equality mean? It means also about poverty, a reduction of poverty and things like that. So you can see him, academic life and his approach to the world actually fits very nicely together in that way. And a lot of great academics have done that. I mean, they've challenged existing thoughts in so many different areas, partly because they start off with a premise of whatever, equality, and then follow that through and see what does it mean if we are equal.
Yeah.
So that's all pretty amazing. So he was in the Labour Party until 1954, and then he dies. Is there any? I think there was when we launched the scholarship, you were able to find some of his relatives to join us. And they were incredibly interesting people. I came along to the event and they were very interesting.
Yeah, that's right. So I was very lucky. I was able to contact one of his surviving daughters. They had two daughters, one of whom sadly died, I think, a few years ago in the relatively recent past. But there is a surviving daughter, and I was able to contact her and her husband. And then, as you said, for this launch, we were able to invite them and a number of other folk. So granddaughters and grandsons of Jainti Saggar, and then also some great grandchildren.
Okay.
What was nice is that one of the great grandchildren had also studied here in Dundee. And she is a very accomplished hockey player. And it transpired that Jainti Saggar, when he was here, he was also a hockey player. Okay. So there was that kind of wonderful generational sense of connection.
Okay.
It was a fantastic event, as you say.
I think the other nice thing about it is that I've always noticed that Dundee, I'm an outsider. I come from Australia, and so I get to view Dundee through the eyes of an outsider. And I do notice that Dundee is different from many other towns in Scotland in the sense that it is very multicultural. And I'm sure that goes back to the fact that it was a port and that it was an important port with links to the Far East and elsewhere. And so the town has always been very comfortable with the multicultural nature of society. So it doesn't surprise me that Dr. Saggar, once he becomes a councillor, he's taken to the heart of the general population and support him and love him for all the good works that he does. And part of that is just because of this multicultural society.
Yeah.
So that's fabulous. Nick, anything else that's come to mind that you'd like to say about him, or we can leave it there?
I think we probably leave it there. Certainly just reading about him, I took a sense of this is somebody with a sense of adventure and spirit. They were born in 1898, to come to Scotland in 1919, and then to put down your roots here, to get married, to have a family, to contribute, and to be recognised by that community as having made a major contribution to it is just wonderful. And we talk in the university about transforming lives, of using education for the benefit of the wider community. Well, there is somebody for me who exemplifies exactly that. He used his skills, he used his expertise for the benefit of the wider community, not just as a medic, but also as a citizen. And I think that's just a fantastic role model. That's
exactly. To be engaged with the community and society, as well as just carrying out your profession, is the mark of somebody making good use of their life, I think.
Exactly so.
Right. Listen, thanks very much for taking the time today to talk to us, Nick. I wish you all the best, and I'll no doubt see you around on the campus soon.
Okay. My pleasure.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.